Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is season 2 of the Dating with Katy podcast, and I'm so excited. I got to be honest, I loved my season 1. I feel like it was packed with information, practical tips, and advice. You can actually get out there, get dating, do it well. And what I always say is you can be a 20%er because we know that 80% of people who are out there dating just aren't ready and they're not quality. And we're going to talk about that today. But first, I want to thank my sponsor, Rater. So you guys know I'm a big fan of the apps, and this app is so unique. You can actually rate the people that you have been chatting with and that you have gone out with. So think of it as authentic dating. It's a way to find your true love because it's a trusted relationship booster. Go make sure you download the app today, get on it, and start rating the other quality people out there so we can all vet much better. All right, you guys. Well, today in this new season, I have to be honest, I'm going to get a little bit more exciting. It's going to be a little bit more saucy. You guys already know that I believe in getting you confident, successful, and having fun dating. Well, let's talk about some of the nitty-gritties, right? Some of the detailed parts of dating. And my last season, and I really curated it so out of the 25 episodes, everything builds on each other. The first 10 are about your foundation, what you should be looking for in somebody. I mean, one of my top watched ones, and thank you ladies for this, is 4 things every woman should be looking for in a man, and that is podcast 5. I mean, it's already that early in my podcast that I want to make sure you can always go back and listen to that. And then there's some for men, how to take better pictures on your online profile. Let's be honest, you don't have the best ones. I think that one is 13, 14, 15. They're all in sequential order. Go check them out. You guys know that my podcasts are 15 minutes long. I mean, 1% of your day. So make sure you subscribe, send this to a friend, and let's stay connected. Check me out on Instagram. I also have a subscription base there, which is super fun. I do live masterclasses. You're going to want to be a part of that. Well, today's topic, and it kind of continues the flow from my last 25. So I finished my last podcast, if you guys were listening, is First Date Do's and Don'ts for Him and Her. They were separate podcasts because I want to speak to you guys individually. So my coaching client, now I do multiple kinds of clients. I have matchmaking, which is I do all the work for you. Coaching, I help you walk through the apps. And then I do my Wing Girl program, which is also I pretend I'm you on the apps. So if any of those sound good, email me. But she's got a goal. She's a woman in her early 40s. She lives in a very busy city, metropolitan, people getting married later in life, very CEO-oriented kind of city. And there's a lot of good and bads to that. You become really stable, and which is very attractive in dating, but you also have less people who are able to get married at a later stage. And now that she's of that age, and many of my female coaching clients are, she wants to get married and have kids. She's fully stable. She's got an amazing job. She's great at what she does. But now the clock ticked. She's in mile 22 of the marathon, and we got to move. So I always like to encourage her. She says, Katy, if it wasn't for you, I would have just quit dating altogether. So we literally have her on a plan. And the plan was 30 dates. And you say, Katy, why 30 dates? One of my girlfriends went on Bumble because I made her. She was absolutely against it. And she said she wrote down every date she went on. It took her 30 dates to find the guy who she's currently dating, and they're perfect for each other. So I use that just kind of as a barometer. I mean, when I was dating, I probably went on hundreds of dates. I mean, I just enjoyed dating. I enjoyed meeting people. And I dated quite a few of the guys, or I saw quite a few of the guys that I dated. But nonetheless, I think it's important, and I do think it's a numbers game. Although I have clients where on the second Bumble date, they're still dating that same guy. So it is about learning what you do and what you don't want. But now that she's out dating, and she's on date number 21 right now, and I feel like there's a huge momentum in what she's doing. The universe is giving it back to her. But she is at a stage where when she's on these dates, she really wants to ask some detailed questions. She really wants to get into their lives sooner than later because she's on a timeline. She's not going to waste her time. And some of you are and some of you aren't. But I think these questions, they're just quality conversation starters. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to give you 10 quality conversation starters that are fun. They're lighthearted. You should answer them yourself. Don't think that this is an interview. An interview is one way. You can even start with your answer and then, volley it over to them. But before we get started on those questions, I want to have 3 ground rules. You guys know I'm a huge fan of rules. Rubrics are good. It gives people a baseline and an understanding of where I'm teaching from. The first thing I want you to remember is that I always ask my clients this: what do you think you want? Instead of what do you want in a person, what do you want in a guy, what do you want in a girl, what do you think you want? Because that changes. And throughout dating and dating multiple people, you start to change that list a bit. And that's the beauty of dating. And you should be dating multiple people, just like you should be going to multiple job interviews. You're going to learn what you do and what you don't want. And sometimes what you think you want isn't actually what you really deeply want. So there's a mind thought and there's a heart thought. That's what your soul desires versus what your mind thinks you need. So throughout the process, you've got to really verify and vet your own self. And that's what all of this is for. Dating is for checking in with yourself. Is this really what I need? Is this really what I think I need? So when you ask these questions, the second thing I want you to do is not disqualify someone because they didn't answer exactly how you think you wanted them to answer, or what you want, and they didn't answer it exactly. And you're going to see on some of these questions, they're very specific to a person's dream. And just because it doesn't match your dream does not mean that they are disqualified. Again, I think so many of you go on first dates, if you can even get first dates, which is why my first 25 podcasts were about getting the first date, like literally getting a first date. I mean, some of you are just yapping on the apps all day long, and it's sad. Unless that's your goal. But the goal is always to get a first date. The second goal after that is to get a second date. And a lot of you are not moving into a second date. And my 3-3-3 rule is you got to have 3 dates. Give somebody 3 dates. But don't disqualify somebody. Don't be like, Katy, their answers weren't good, so I just said no. I'm not going to waste you told me not to waste my time. I'm telling you, listen, because I'm telling you, this is how quality relationships happen, is that you know that you bring value to someone and they can bring value to you, and that value doesn't have to be the exact same thing, you guys, okay? So when I tell you these questions, do not expect them to have the same answer as you. It could be a completely opposite desire. But maybe, just maybe, that will be of benefit to you and bring you value, okay? So, for example, I dated a guy, and I said this early in the relationship. I said, I love hiking. I want to go on a hot air balloon ride, and I've always wanted to go to Machu Picchu. He told me specifically, I'm not interested in any of those, Katy. I don't like hiking. Obviously, he's from Texas, so everything was flat, so I don't think he really knew what hiking was. I don't like hiking. I'm not really a hiker. He told me I have no interest in hot air balloon rides because I don't like heights, which I actually don't either, but I still wanted to do it. And then he also said Machu Picchu is not on my bucket list. Well, guess what? We did all 3. And he loves hiking now. He loved our trip to Machu Picchu where we hiked, and we did hot air ballooning in Napa, which was gorgeous, and in Cappadocia, Turkey. So do not disqualify someone just because that's how they present in the first round of questions. All right, well, let's get started. Now, and you can Google a lot of these questions. People on IG are selling little question boxes. I think they're great. I think they're great with your kids too, if you have kids. I think they're fun at parties to really kind of get a unified discussion going for everybody. So here they are. Here's number 1. This is a really lighthearted one. I love this one. And again, maybe start with your answer to it. Number 1 is, what were holidays like for you as a kid? And now, what are some of your traditions? And is this meaningful to you? You don't have to say it exactly like that, but kind of spice in a little bit about traditions and values and, your religion base. And how does that work out in this season of your life right now? And ask those questions. Everybody I know likes to talk about their holidays. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't like to talk about their Christmas and maybe the best present they got and the bike. And I mean, you could talk Christmas movies at the same time too, if you want to, wiggle in the holidays. Maybe Thanksgiving was the best because they had a big family, or maybe it was sad and they didn't have a big family. And I know I come from a big family and I loved my big family gatherings. And when I was, looking for a partner, I wanted someone who had a big family, who was tight with their family. But I've also dated men that maybe they weren't tight with their family. They weren't tight with their mom. And although it made me sad, I thought, well, I can bring that value set to them. All right, number 2, tell a super embarrassing moment from when you were a kid to me, or even lately, right? And try to have one of your own so that it's kind of a fair deal on that. And I'm not going to share mine. Well, no. All right, number 3, name a time. I think this one's good. This is going to look for character qualities. Number 3, name a time when you were dishonest as a kid, or you were honest, but it cost you something. Now, I remember as a kid, I lost a girlfriend's, I want to say her Indian Halloween outfit, or I misplaced it. I don't remember what it was, but I remember my mom specifically making me go to Cindy's house, get in front of her dad, and apologize for losing it. I was crying. I was so upset that I had to do this, that I had to tell them I lost it. And I remember Cindy's dad kind of laughed, like smirking, laughing, but like grateful that my mom made me do it. And I'm grateful to this day that my mother made me be accountable, because there's nothing better than people who are accountable. And those are our 20%ers. Those are the people we want to date, right? So ask for that story. I think it'll have some insight. Number 4, if you could take a class on anything, or if you could learn a trade, what would it be? This is great also for if you want to know a good gift idea, a good date idea. I just did a photo shoot for a client, and I did a brand new bio for her as well. And I had them do my Fun Me bio, and they have to answer all these questions. And one of the questions on hers was, what class would you take? And she said fencing. And I thought, okay, whoever takes this girl out, because I put it in her bio, better take her fencing. Like, he better figure out a private fencing class or whatnot. But how cool is that? I thought that was so neat. And she's not the girl. She's very bougie and beautiful and high heels. And she's like, I want to learn fencing. So ask that question. Number 5, do you like variety and change, or do you like stability and routine? Now, this is going to help understand each other for the weekends. I was just watching one of the Netflix series where they all meet in a pod, and then they all go to Mexico, and then they all get married. And I love this season of it. I think the people are great. The personalities are great. And the people who paired together, whether real or fake, I don't know. It seems realish. There is a girl, and she loves to go out, and he likes to stay home. And 3 days before their wedding, they're fighting over this. So I think these are really good questions. I love going out on a Friday night. I know when I date men who are really busy during the weekday, they do not like to go out on Friday nights. That's chill night. Saturday nights is better. You got to discuss this stuff, because then you understand each other. All right, next one, number 6, name your fears. What are you most afraid of? What are you most afraid to do? What are you most afraid to lose? And share first, I think, on this one. I mean, I'm afraid to lose my relationship with my kids at any point. Not that it's going to happen. I have a great relationship with my kids, but I'd be so fearful if anything were to ever happen, even to my child or my relationship with my child. That would just break me. And that tells you the value set that I have around my kids. Like, my kids are rad, and now they're out of the house, and I'm sad, and I don't live in fear of that, but I'm sad from it. And I think as a man, if you were listening to me, that would be a very great opportunity for you to be tender about something like that. So use this question as an opportunity to be compassionate, empathetic, and to be tender towards that person, and really listen. Don't interrupt on this one. All right, next one. What does maturity look like to you? Guys, I know if you're listening to this, you are a 20%er, you are quality peeps. So ask them what it looks like to them. Maturity to me is great communication, it is getting back to me, it is checking in. There's so many things we could go on this. Great question, though. Here's another one. If you could take 5 things with you to an island, what would they be? Of course, you can make it 6 or whatnot, and it might be an animal or 2, or it'd be so interesting to see what people say. And if on a first date they say, I would take you, consider that you have a second date opportunity. So if you like her, tell her I'd take you to the island. And the last one here is describe your dream house. And the reason I put this question is because people have, if you're dating later in life, if you're post-divorce, you have an idea where you want to go next. You've already played house, you've already raised kids, or you're maybe still doing that. But look, at the end of the day, you want to go enjoy life. So what is that going to look like to someone? I am a beach girl. I love the beach. My dream house is at the beach, near the beach, smelling the water, seeing the water every day. And I literally know I couldn't date a guy that says he wants to live in the mountains forever. I couldn't, unless we had 2 houses and we went back and forth all the time. So that would help clarify on my date what his dream and what my dream is. Again, I wouldn't disqualify him. I would probably just give the suggestion of 2 houses, multiple back and forth. I'm good with that. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in this season 2. Make sure you tune in. Everything's going to get a little bit spicier, a little bit sweeter, a little bit more fun. If not, always go back to the other podcast. 1 through 25 is foundational. You're going to love it. We're going to see you next time, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks, guys.